Yeah, hi folks, it's Jackie. I'm just doing a video today about a story that has really disturbed me, and it should disturb us all, really. It's a story about a man called Justice Livingstone, and this is from the Guardian.co.uk online, and it's a story about Justice Livingstone. As I said, it was dated Thursday the 24th of November 2011. Just going to read the story to you because I find it totally disgusting, and you've got to bear in mind this guy that I'm going to tell you about could be your brother, your uncle, your dad, your nephew, and we all need to take note of what's happening in society and what's happening around us, because we never know when it could be us or somebody that we know. And if we don't take notice of these stories, then matters like this are just going to keep occurring, and it's just going to get out of hand. So I'm just going to tell you about this story. I'm just going to read it. Metropolitan Police officers fired a taser 9 times at a man sitting on a train in the belief he was carrying a weapon in his briefcase. The use of tasers on a train comes as the Commissioner of the Met Police, Bernard Hogan Howe, faces questions over the suggestions that more of his officers should be armed with the weapons. Hogan Howe said this week he wanted to see more tasers in response cars, and Scotland Yard has confirmed work is going on to review the availability of tasers for its officers. Hogan Howe was challenged about his statement about tasers by members of the Metropolitan Police Authority on Thursday. In an at times rowdy exchange, MPA member Cindy Butts urged caution, saying, "We will see ourselves sleepwalking into a style of policing we have fought long and hard to move away from." But Jeanette Arnold said she supported the use of tasers. If a taser had been used in the incident with Mark Duggan, who was shot dead by police in Tottenham, North London in August, the man would be alive today, she said. Now I'm going to just take a small break there. Now you all know about my feelings about Mark Duggan. I've done a previous video on the Tottenham riots and what happened there. And the thing is, they're talking about if the police had had a taser, the man would still be alive. Can I just tell you people, the man didn't even have a gun, and he didn't even fire at the police, because as we know, the ballistics showed that the bullet that was lodged in the radio was actually police issue. So whether they had a taser that day or not, it looks like they were out to get somebody that day. So I don't think it would have mattered anyway whether or not they had tasers. They were gun happy, and they wanted to use their gun, and they did, and they killed someone. Anyway, like I said, I've got views on that, and if you want to see another video I've done, you can check that out. Just carry on with this story now. So they've just said about if they had tasers, you know, bringing the whole riot issue into it and connecting what happened in Tottenham in August with, you know, issues that are going on now. So that's what's come of the riots, is they're going to now be using tasers. They're talking about police having it in their response cars, but watch, it's going to come like America, and English police here will be carrying them, because I think there's certain police here in this country that are actually, they can't wait to have that equipment put onto their little belts so they feel even more superior than they feel already. Anyway, I'll come off that subject. Let's carry on with this one. Okay, but Jeanette Arnold said she supported the use of tasers, like I said, so there you go. So Justice Livingstone said he was tasered 4 times to the chest, and when that did not affect him, officers tasered him 3 times to the back of the head and twice to his hand as he sat on a train in Nord Junction in South East London last week. When he was finally detained, police found a toy gun inside his briefcase. Livingstone told The Guardian he had bought it earlier that day as a present for his son. Police were called to the station after an emergency call from rail staff that there was a man on a platform waving what appeared to be a gun. A plastic toy gun, people. But British Transport Police, supported by firearms officers from the Met, arrived at the station and boarded the train. British Transport Police said tasers were used by Met officers to restrain the man when he failed to comply with officers' requests to remain seated. Scotland Yard said a taser was fired several times after the suspect moved towards officers while shouting and refusing to move his hands from his pockets. The Met Police and British Transport Police said the suspect was in possession of an imitation firearm. People, it was a toy that he'd bought for his child. It was plastic. Anyway, let's move on. Livingstone, who said he had no history of mental health problems, had bought the toy gun earlier for his son's birthday. It was 99p, he said. The father of two said that he had been sitting on the train when he first saw officers. This is a quote from Livingstone. I was sitting near an elderly Englishman and I asked if I could read his FT, Financial Times. I was sitting reading the FT when these 4 officers rushed onto the carriage. Someone sitting by me raised his hands and said, "I've done nothing wrong." I saw everyone in the carriage leaving and I picked up my briefcase and paper to get up to leave. Now you've got to remember, this is a guy working in the city and he's going home on the train. He's bought a gift for his son. He had a look at it on the platform. The police shouted, "Sit down." So I sat down patiently. They said, "Open your briefcase," which I did. They saw the toy gun. Then a male officer opened fire with a gun which jammed. Okay, so he opened fire with a gun which jammed. So the initial response from seeing this gun in the man's briefcase was to open fire on the train. So then they jumped at me and used the taser 4 times at my chest. That did not have any effect. I felt no current. They then held me down, grabbed onto my head and pinned me down and shot me in the back of the head with the taser 3 times, and I felt the current. Now you've got to remember how many times he's already been tased, right? They tied my legs and took me off the train to the platform. Scotland Yard denied any other firearm had been used. Now this guy had a gun pointed at him. It locked, okay? The Lord, his spirit, whatever you want to say, was looking after this guy, Justice Livingstone, on that day because the gun jammed, okay? Scotland Yard denied any other firearm has been used. Livingstone said he was taken to a police station in Victoria where he claims officers made fun of what he was wearing, a long trench coat and a black hat. He was stripped naked, he said, and refused access to a lawyer. He was eventually sent to Bethlehem Royal Hospital in Beckenham, where he was sectioned under the Mental Health Act. But on Wednesday, after he made an appeal to the Mental Health Tribunal, he was released and is now at his home in South London. So this guy was on his way home from work, bought a toy gun for his child, got tased however many times, and then got flung into a mental health place, right, under the Mental Health Act. What the hell, people? Like I said, this could have been your brother, your uncle, your nephew. We don't start taking notice of stories like this, it's going to get worse and worse and worse. Scotland Yard said attempts to physically restrain the man had failed, so a taser had been deployed. The spokesman said the man was tasered a number of times, but this seemed to have no effect. Eventually, officers were able to physically restrain the man, and he was removed from the train and the British Transport Police custody, and the Met said. British Transport Police said its officers were called along with the Met to reports that a man was on a platform waving a gun. Livingstone said he would be making a formal complaint about this treatment. And you know what, Mr. Livingstone, I will back you all the way. And let's get a petition started for this, because the police just cannot do that. They were going to actually shoot the man first, because he had... Now, what would have happened? The man's got a plastic 99p gun in his briefcase, okay? The police have stormed onto the train, and they were going to shoot him. The gun jammed. How lucky was he, okay? It would have been another Mark Duggan right there, so soon after what they've done in Tottenham. I find it disgusting. Also, I have to quickly briefly mention in this, it sounds like maybe it's already here for us, but you lot need to read into the Senate Bill 1867, especially to all my American friends, okay? Look into that later.